The Las Vegas Raiders need a solid defense to compete with the quarterbacks and offenses in the AFC West. Good thing for the Raiders, that's right up head coach Pete Carroll's alley. He's put together some historic defenses in his time with the Seattle Seahawks, and that's what he intends to do with the Raiders. He had plenty to work with when he arrived. However, after being the #1 scoring defense in the NFL over the second half of 2023, they didn't deliver in 2024 because they had too many injuries. Then this offseason, Carroll looked for guys that fit his 4-3 under cover 1, cover 3 press bail defense. To be successful in that defense, he needs guys that are similar to guys that he's had in the past. They don't have to be as good, but they at least have to be able to play their role. Let's take a look at who the Raiders have now to fit those roles. Okay, let's look into how star edge rusher Max Crosby fits into this defense first. It looks like Crosby will be the strong side linebacker. That role was played by Bruce Irvin back in 2013. I don't know about you, but I think Carroll came out on the plus side when it comes to this role. Irvin was good, but never became an elite edge rusher. Crosby is an elite edge rusher that some even say is the best in the business. If you look at what he does against the run and rushing the passer, he makes a strong case to call him the best in the business. Hey, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the business since Crosby's the best edge rusher he's played against. Crosby's always liked to be on the right side of the offense, which is usually the strong side. He's played there as a 3-4 outside linebacker and a 4-3 in, so there's no adjustment for him to make. Crosby plays the run very well, so he's a good fit there. He takes on the tight end and sets a hard edge. He likes to stay on the right side in sub packages too. We're not going to see Crosby in coverage too often. As a matter of fact, Crosby could end up at Leo with Devin White taking over at strong side linebacker in the base package. The right beside him is a 2-gapping 4 technique will be Christian Wilkins. I'm hearing he's going to be ready to go week 1, so I'm going to assume that to be the case. He'll be playing the role of Red Bryant, who was actually drafted to be a nose tackle. The 6'5", 325-pounder had a little more speed, quickness, and length to him than most nose tackles, so Carroll let him 2-gap from the 4 technique position. If Wilkins gets healthy and stays healthy, this is another case where the player Carroll has now is better than the guy whose role he's playing. Wilkins was well known to be an elite interior defensive lineman before he got hurt last year. Some said he was the best all-around interior defensive lineman in the business. Chris Jones is a better pass rusher, but Wilkins wasn't that far behind in that department, and he's a much better run defender. He's a versatile interior defensive lineman that can do it all. He can 2-gap in the 3-4 and penetrate quickly as a 1-gapper in the 4-3 against the run. As a pass rusher, he can win with speed or power. He has that motor that runs hot 24/7, 365 too. He really is the interior defensive lineman version of Crosby. Next to him at the 1 technique could be Leky Fu. Tony McDaniels was the guy in that role back in 2013. McDaniel was 6'6", 305 pounds, and while he was solid and did his job, there wasn't anything really exceptional about him. We never saw anything that led us to believe he was gifted. Meanwhile, Fotu is a freak athlete right up there with Vita Vea. He's 6'5", 335 pounds and runs a 5'1", 40. The main reason why the Raiders got him is to stuff the run. He's a space heater that can easily 2-gap or 3-gap as a nose tackle. And while that's not what he'll be dependent on to do, he's capable of getting off the ball quick and getting penetration. And as a pass rusher, he has 3.5 sacks over his 5-year NFL career, so I'm not going to act like he offers so much there. He needs some moves to become a factor in that department. That could change quickly with Rob Leonard as his defensive line coach, though. However, the one way he can already help the pass rush is using his power to collapse the pocket. That way, when the edge rushers beat their guys, the quarterback will have nowhere to go because they'll be trapped. Adam Butler's been a good pass rusher from the time he was with the New England Patriots from 2017 to 2020, with the Miami Dolphins in 2021, and with the Raiders since. His problem with the Patriots and Dolphins was that he had to be taken off the field a lot because he couldn't play the run. Butler has gotten much better in that department since he became a Raider. He gets to do what he does best in this system, though. He's a 3 technique that gets quick penetration in the 1-gap he's responsible for in the run game. The name of the game for him is to get off the ball quickly on every snap and be as disruptive as he can be. Butler's playing the role Brandon Mebane played when he was with the Seahawks back in the day. Mebane never had more than 3 sacks in a season with Carroll in that role, but he did have a 5-sack season before Carroll got there. Butler's coming off of back-to-back seasons with 5 sacks, and he has more sacks in 7 years than Mebane had in 13, and he'll be playing a role he's fitted for. This is another obvious case of Carroll having a better player in place now than the one he had back in 2013. Then next to him, the leader will of course be Malcolm Coons. Coons is another one of those guys that improved his game a lot against the run. They run to the strong side most of the time in the NFL, so setting the edge and having outside containment on the way to the quarterback isn't too hard for him. But it's as a pass rusher that he really brings it. His work as a pass rusher is the main reason why the Raiders had the #1 scoring defense in the NFL over the second half of 2023. He had 38 pressures and 8 sacks in that time frame. Coons not playing it down in 2024 is the main reason why the Raiders had the #26 scoring defense that year. It really makes you wonder what former head coach Josh McDaniels, or McDummy as some of you like to call him, was thinking. He's going to be playing the role Chris Clemons played. Clemons didn't do too much in 2013, but he had 11 sacks with 11.5 in 2012, the previous 3 years. On this one, I'll just say Carroll has someone that I believe can play the role. We only saw a flash of Coons for 1 season, then he got injured the next season. Remember, Crosby can end up taking this role too. Here's where all the questions begin. The 2 off-ball linebackers have huge shoes to fill. Can they fill them enough to have a good defense? Landon Roberts and I think Jermaine Pratt will get the roles of Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. Roberts is a very physical downhill Mike that takes on whoever's in his way, sheds him, and runs to the ball to collect the tackle. Wagner is still doing that to this day with the Washington Commanders. That's one area Roberts fills a role, but he can't cover the way Wagner can. Hopefully defensive coordinator Patrick Graham gets Roberts to cover better the way he did with Robert Spillane, but it won't be on the level of Wagner. Wagner can't even cover the way he used to, but he can still cover. That leaves Pratt to cover the will linebacker role left behind by Wright. Pratt has 4.4 wills, so he has the potential to be great in coverage, but he hasn't reached the level Wright has in that department yet. And while he's improved a lot against the run, he hasn't reached the level Wright has in that department either. The Raiders managed to piece together a decent linebacker core after losing Spillane this offseason, but they're nowhere near on the level of Wagner and Wright. In the secondary, I'm going to start with the safeties. Chancellor was like an extra linebacker in the box of Carroll's defense back in the day. He was a big hitter and as physical as they come. He was a Swiss Army knife too, though. He could cover the tight end, the short zone, and line up a free safety to cover the back end. To be a Swiss Army knife as a safety, you have to play with a Swiss Army knife. He was going to cover the back end while you're in the box, and so forth and so on. The Seattle Seahawks had Earl Thomas for that. He was a Swiss Army knife that could do it all too. Jeremy Chin was supposed to take Chancellor's role, and Isaiah Polamalu was supposed to take Thomas's role, but the signing of Jamal Adams may have put a monkey wrench in all that. It could be Chin and Adams now. Adams played for Carroll before when he tried to remake the Legion of Boom in Seattle, or did Carroll just sign Adams for depth at this point? Training camp and competition is going to take care of all that, but either way, the Raiders are going to put a pretty good safety tandem out there. They just won't be, and it's not a crime not to be as good as Chancellor and Thomas. Carroll is known for the types of outside corners he has, and slot corner is its own position, so I'm staying with the outside guys. Carroll had Brandon Browner and Richard Sherman at the corners back in 2013. Eric Stokes is a great fit for Carroll's press bell coverage system with his 6'1" height, long arms, and 4'2" wheels. He's different from Browner and Sherman, but he showed in Green Bay that he excels in press man and cover 3. And when he's healthy, he's a shutdown corner. He'll definitely have his man and his side locked up. Darian Porter is a lot like Sherman. They both went to college as receivers, moved to corner, and only started at the position for 1 year. He's also 6'3", 195 pounds with long arms. Porter established himself as a great cover 3 zone corner at Iowa State last year, so he has that part of the game down for Carroll's system already. He just has to get more polished and press man, and word out of minicamp is he's learning that part of the game pretty quickly. Imagine Richard Sherman with 4'3" wheels. I guess that's why Carroll's swearing by Porter already. He was asked what his young players as a whole would be able to do for the team this year.
I could be really optimistic and say, hey, it's going to be great. But they got to get through the hitting and the rigors of camp and playing against guys that are older and bigger and stronger than they've been, in the past. However, I've always been in favor of playing young guys. I've been playing freshmen and rookies for a long time, and I believe if you do it well and you plot out and plan how you play them and what you expect them to to be asked to do, then if you do it well, then they can contribute early and they can contribute by midseason. You have guys that have been playing the game, and now you have your depth chart has changed. Your opportunity to rest guys and mix your rotations can get accelerated. I'm not afraid to play the young guys, and I really documented that a long time ago, and so they're on. They better be ready. They got to go.
He talked about his linebackers in secondary too.
And on the defensive side, there's a lot of new guys, and I'm really impressed with what Landon Roberts has brought us in terms of leadership and kind of guidance and mentality and all of that. And so we're kind of feeding off of him a little bit. I'm anxious to see how that spreads. Devin White and with Jermaine coming in, those guys at the linebacker spot, it's a pretty exciting group. There's a bunch of hard-nosed, tough guys, and I want to see how they affect the rest of us. Let me just keep going. I'm fired up about the back end. We're really athletic, we're really fast, and we're big, and it's an impressive looking group. I can't remember ever having a group that looks more impressive than this group. My guys will be pissed at me that I said that up north, the old guys, but it's the truth. These guys are big and fast and really hungry to make a mark and all, and how we blend that together is what a defensive coordinator, defensive coach dreams about. And this is going to be an exciting challenge for us.
Carroll only knows one way, and it got him to 2 Super Bowls and 1 for him. So after putting together the original Legion of Boom in Seattle, he tried to put another one together in Seattle, and he's trying to put one together here in Las Vegas now. As far as the front goes, if Wilkins and Coons are going to be healthy, they have a better front than they did back in Seattle. But unfortunately, the linebackers aren't there. We'll see if what they have is good enough. The same thing applies to the secondary. Carroll loves the size and speed, but we gotta see the skill and health. If the linebackers and safeties pull their weight, this defense is gonna be good. Thank you for watching. See you next time.